Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And today, I promised it, and I'm finally delivering it. I have an incredible magician, an incredible business person, an incredible creator, an innovator of magic, somebody who I think, and I don't, not just saying this, I mean it, somebody who I think created the most commercial trick ever released to magicians, and I mean that, and anyone who knows this channel knows I mean it. I am, of course, talking about the one and only Michel Hout. How are you doing?
Merci beaucoup, Craig. What an introduction. Can I bring you to all of my shows? That's amazing. Thank you for having me.
I mean every word I say. You're an inspiration. Everybody I speak to talks about how incredible you are. One of the I see a lot of comments on my channel, and when the Blackpool lineup was announced, that obviously there's a chance that you're going to be coming to Blackpool. You were one of the names that everybody was most excited to see, and obviously I've been a huge fan of your magic for a long time. But outside of that, you're an incredible business person as well. We've talked about that off camera, and you're just kind of an inspirational person to speak to. So I'm so glad you've found time in the middle of a snowstorm over where you are in Quebec. You've found time to jump on Magic TV with me. Thank you so much.
Craig, it's a pleasure and an honor being here. So thanks for everything you do for the communities. It's a real treat.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. And yeah, I'm so excited. And at some point we are going to talk about socks, because I love that trick so much. I probably owe you so much in commission, because I have done that trick and made so much money from that trick.
Well, listen, I'm going to send you my PayPal address and just stop talking and send the money.
You got it. I'll just send it over to you. I've got my sock drawer. I think I've got a drawer just for socks. These are my I've got 5 pairs of the normal socks, 2 Halloween socks, 2 Christmas socks. I never want to be in a situation where I don't have socks that I can grab. It's ridiculous.
Nice. That's funny.
But let's talk about you. And let's talk about you and your career. And for anybody who hasn't heard of you or don't know who you are, we're going to start off by giving them all a frame of reference. And can we very quickly talk about your origin story? Can we talk about how you got into magic? So obviously I'm speaking to you in Quebec now. Were you born over there? How did you find magic? How did that all happen?
I did not find magic. I think it's cliche to say that, but magic found me, and that's honestly, it's true, because yes, I was born in Quebec from lovely parents. So we are 5 in the family, 5 brothers and sisters, and well, when I was 22 years old, both of my parents died. So yep, that sucks. No pun intended, but yeah, both my parents died 4 months apart, and I mean, I didn't even know that my mother was sick. My father died, then 4 months after, my mother died. So I was in the university because I studied to be a phys ed teacher, and then when my mother was sick, I said, I cannot go to university anymore. I got to take care of her. You're 22 years old. I was still living with my parents, and I was doing some animation, not animation. I was doing some hosting some games and so on outside, and I saw my very first magician when I was 22 years old. Now, keep in mind that both my parents just died months before. And I saw that magician, his name is André Bouchard, still does magic nowadays for children. And when I was around him, we were like 7 or 8 strangers around him. He was doing close-up, he was doing the ambitious card and so on. I realized that I was not thinking about my parents. I was there for 10, 12 minutes. And then at one point, I literally went like that, looked at all the other people around him, and I said, I don't know those people. They have problems too. I don't know about the problems. And no one is thinking about their problems right now, because we are entertained and we are mystified and so on. And I knew right then what I wanted to become. The next morning, I took the yellow pages, because, yep, in 1993, the yellow pages were still around. And I looked for, where do we buy a magic book? Because laymen, we don't know that there is some magic apparatus and so on. So I went to Magie Spectrum and I bought my first book the day after, Mark Wilson's Course on Magic. And then I stopped working. because I wanted to become a magician. And then I found my way back in school. I worked in an elementary school, and the hours I was working, it was an hour and a half in the morning from 7 to 8:30, then from 11:30 to 1, then from 3 to 6. So it was perfect to study magic. And I was playing with kids in school, and I always had a coin palm, a card palm, or whatever. I mean, a coin palm at that time. And yeah, so that's how I started magic. And man, I owe so much to magic. That's why I give back. I'm very generous of my time, and I'm very generous because I owe so much to magic. It's incredible.
That's amazing. And was there any, when you first got into magic, was there any aspirations of making a career out of this,
Oh
making a
yeah.
job out, or was it just kind of like, I'm enjoying doing this? It's a welcome distraction from my parents. This is something I'm enjoying, or was it like, no, actually, you know what? This could be a career path for me.
Well, I knew that money was not one of the reasons why I got into magic at all. I knew that what I experienced with André Bouchard, the first magician I saw, I wanted to give that to people who needs it. And who needs it? Everyone needs it. They don't know they do, but they need it. So I wanted to give back. So I knew that was my path. I knew it. And at that time when I was working in school, I kept working at that school, but I quit my job in 2003 to become a full-time pro. I was already doing some corporate, a lot of corporate work, but in 2003 I said, all right. I mean, if you wait till you're ready, you will never jump. It's like having a kid. Don't wait till you're ready. You will never get a kid. So I jumped. I quit my job, and it doesn't mean that it was always easy, but man, I never once said, what if? Never. I never looked back. Never.
Wow, that's incredible. Like seriously incredible. So I get people asking me on this channel all the time, I want to go full time. I want to be a full-time magician. It's what I'm passionate about. I love magic, but I'm scared to make that leap. As somebody who made that leap very early on in their journey, I mean, have you got any advice on somebody who wants to make a living out of this and has a burning desire to make a living out of this? And
if you have a burning desire, do it. Don't wait for the right moment. Do it. And to be ready, it's not about practicing your double lift. It's not about that. I mean, there's a lot of very good magicians for the layman that have terrible technique. So it's not about, I mean, I see a lot of magicians here that they want to become a magician, and they practice, and they work on their persona. All of this is good, but you now run a business, and you cannot forget about that part, because you could be the best magician in your studio, but if you don't have gigs to go to, you're just a good technique magician in your studio. So go out there. And we talked off camera about networking. Network. Yeah, I mean, what will make a difference is people and especially people that knows you. So, I mean, it's a business. Magic is not only. I'm still passionate about magic, and I'm so passionate about magic, but I decided I would make a living out of it. So it's running a business, no different than any other business.
And let's talk about networking briefly before we carry on, because I speak to very few magicians that network, and I built my business through networking. And I have magicians that ring me up that go, really, is that really going to help? I have to go and have breakfast once a week or whatever it may be. It's that whole giver's gain mentality, isn't it? If you give people business, they're going to want to give you business, and you can generate a lot of referrals from networking.
Most of my biggest clients were referred to me by people that I got to meet through networking. I mean, again, magic business is no different than any other business. And if you're going to wait at home till the phone rings, you're gonna wait a long time. You got to meet people. You got to make, and I'm in the process of I'm just finished a book. So you wanted to become a corporate magician. And this is something about, and this is not the right title, by the way. This is not the title that I'll end up using. But there's no tricks in there. No tricks. And it's 250 pages or something. And it's all about how to sell yourself, how to react, how to act when you network. Do you magic tricks while you network? Well, I don't think you should, but I mean, so I talk about all of that in this book. How do you approach people? What kind of people do you approach? Because we do everything to be part of the magic world. And at one point, I think it's important to get out of that magic world because they're not the people who will give you some gigs, a few maybe, but if you want to make a decent living, I mean, we talked about your companies off camera, and I bet there's not a lot of magicians that give you those gigs, right?
Nope, not at all.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you have to have people, if you cannot afford to have people working directly for you in the company, you have to have people that work for you, referring you people. And how will they refer? How will they give you gift? If you give them gifts, they will give you gifts.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
But the key thing is, and I don't want to spend the whole thing talking about networking, but in my opinion, one more thing to add is it's networking. It's not net eating. It's not net sleeping. It's networking. You've got to work at it. I've met so many networkers that will fool themselves into thinking they're busy fools. They'll just run around like crazy, eat a breakfast, pass a few business cards and go, there you go, that's my marketing activity done for the week. Tick that box, let's move on. Whereas in reality, you got to hustle, you got to find time to do this stuff. Yep. You got to find time to build up the connections, not just at the meeting, but outside of the meeting and, adding people on LinkedIn, commenting on their stuff, picking up the phone and ringing them. All this stuff is so important.
And it's work. That's work. That's how to create a business. And I mean, I don't go at a networking event to eat or have to have a free glass of wine. I have wine at home. That's not the purpose. And I don't stay. I remember when I started networking, hey, I like you. I'm going to stay with you. And I was sticking with one or two person and going from group to group with them. Now, I don't do that at all. I go see a group, I stay there 10, 12 minutes. I talk about them first. At the end, I'm the last person who will introduce myself. If they ask me oh, you're a magician. Can you do a trick? No, I won't. So I won't do trick at a marketing networking event. I don't. And I mean, maybe they hired someone. I don't. So I talk a lot about that in the book and how to sell yourself. Again, it's not easy selling yourself. So how to do it? I won't sell myself the same way to an accountant as I would to a to a CEO. It's not the same kind of person. So you cannot sell them the exact same way.
And you know what? When you first decided to quit your job and become a full-time magician, you didn't know all of this at the time. Was it a difficult thing? You obviously realized you needed to run a business. You needed to run your magic business like a business. Mm-hmm. Did it take you long to figure things up, figure things out? Or did it happen over time? Did it happen quickly? When you went from literally having no clients, no customers, no nothing. Obviously, we now know you as a very successful corporate magician. You've literally, as you've just shown me, literally written a book on this subject. How did you get from there to where, from quitting a job with no customers, no nothing, to where you are now?
I shut up and I listen, and I analyze a lot. I remember once I quit my job, I said, okay, I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and that's good. And you want to take a couple of weeks off to process the whole thing. And then I remember the first Monday morning, now I've got a studio here in an office about 2 kilometers from my home. But at first, of course, I was working from my home. And I remember the first day I sat down in my office. What do I do now? What do I do now? Who do I call? And at the same moment, the mailman, he dropped something in my mailbox, and there was some publicity. So, all right. And then I said, I'm going to take that whole, it was a small pamphlet, 16 pages. And all companies. I said, I'm going to call each and every one of those. And I called them. And the first person I called, I got a gig. Now, I said to myself, wow, that's easy. It's going to be an easy thing. And then you call the 15 other companies, and it's a no, 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 no. All right, this is not going to be easy. So I started to look at very successful non-magicians, but entrepreneur, both male and female. And I started to hang around them. And okay, Michel, come, I'm going to invite you to networking and to this event and blah, blah, blah. And that's how I started. And I looked at all those successful people and I said to myself, wow, they're not talking. They're listening.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're not talking, promoting their stuff and giving cards around. So that's when I started to not bring business cards at networking event. And this is so powerful because everybody has their stack of cards. Here you go, take my card. And do you have a business? I know, but you will remember me. And they did. So, and I even when at one point someone I met said, you have to have 3 ideal clients. And I said, all right. So one of my ideal clients at the time was in the mining industry. So I became a member of the Mining Industry Association here in Quebec. What do I know about mining? Nothing. But now I was in contact with people and made billions of dollars who could hire me. And they hired me because I was at their event, not knowing anything about mining industry. For a mining company to be in those association, it's very expensive. For an outsider, it's about around $200. So you have to, you need to be member of those associations.
Yeah.
So you watch and learn. You shut up and learn and listen.
I mean, that's incredible advice. It really is. And the thing that I hope that everybody's listening to you speak is you're talking about running a magic business. At no point have you even talked about what tricks you do yet. Because ultimately, and this is, in my opinion, why most business owners fail or why most magicians fail, is because people quit their job to become a professional magician. But probably 99% of the stuff that you do is not anything to do with magic. It's learning the admin, the paperwork, the bookkeeping, the marketing, the social media, the SEO, the website optimization, or customer journey, customer care, all of this stuff that you have to learn to run a business that you can't run without it. And the magic part, which is what people quit their jobs to go and do, you end up doing a very small amount of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And tricks are not important. Still, magician, they practice tricks. You should go take courses about being an entrepreneur. You should do all that stuff because that's what you'll do most of the time. I'm someone who buys a lot of magic books, but I also buy a lot of non-magic books. I've got this here that talks. This is not about business, but it's about talking in front of an audience. I've got a lot of books about Brian Tracy is one of my go-to author. Brian Tracy wrote Eat That Frog, Just Shut Up and Do It. Amazing books. Just with those 2 books alone, you will know how to probably run a business. So don't just buy books about magic, buy a book about other stuff.
Yeah.
Because you will only perform like 2-3% of the time.
Yeah. And the rest of the time, you're going to be hustling. You're going to, again, it comes down to, you mentioned the word entrepreneurial. You can either work on your business or in your business. And if you're constantly working in your business, you've got no time to work on your business. And that's ultimately what's going to help you grow.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. So, but let's talk about the magic for a minute with what you were doing, because obviously outside of running a business, you were running a magic business. So you're going out and performing as well. Yeah. Were you primarily a close-up performer, and has that changed over time? Or when you first set up your magic business, what type of gigs were you after? And that's the question, really. Yeah.
I think the first magician you see will influence you for the rest of your life. So the first magician I saw was doing ambitious card, blah blah blah, and close up. So that's the first thing I did. And I remember very early on in my career, I went on television, a local, well, in the Quebec, the province of Quebec. Very early on, I was on television, and I remember that the day after I was on television, there's 3 or 4 people that said, "Hey, I recognize you. You were on the channel yesterday, blah blah blah." Because at that time I had no hair at all. I was shaving it with a big beard, and so 3, 4 people recognized me, and I hated it. I really hated it because at first you say, I want to be a star. I want to be like the next Copperfield and so on. But that died down very, very early on because I didn't like being recognized. Because I mean, I'm in the car and people are like, "What's good job yesterday?" And if I feel going like this, I don't want someone to, Michel Hout, picking his nose, blah, blah, blah. So I hated it. And I also hated the fact that in the studio, in the television thing, you waited, and I mean, I'm always up. So as you can see, I'm not sitting down. And even if when I do a 3-hour show, whatever, not 3-hour show, but 3-hour whatever meeting, I'm always standing up. So for me, it's very boring to sit down and wait. So I said, okay, that's not the route I want to go. So I started right away to work on corporate events. And then I remember the first gig, I probably had like 127 tricks on me. And funny thing is that I had a small pamphlet and I said to people, all right, this is the magic tricks I have. These are the card effects, and these are the non-card effects. Pick a number. 36 card effect or not? No card effect. All right, click 36. All right. That's how I started my first gig.
Man.
Yeah. And then I saw that, you know, I mean, I had like 136. I probably brought 130. 130 was not necessary. I only need 5, 6, 7 tricks. That's about it. You don't need a lot of tricks. So I started as a close-up guy, working cocktail, working from table to table, and then I said, stage is calling me. So I started work on stage. I've got some illusions that I do with my girlfriend and with other people, and what I like to do the most is probably being an MC. Being MC at an event, and I do some magic, of course, in between the galas or whatever. So this is one of the things I like the most.
Okay, well, a couple of questions on that. First of all, do you have any advice on getting up on stage? Because again, I'm basing a lot of these questions on what I see from my listeners on this channel. And one thing that people talk about over and over again is, I want to be a stage performer. I don't want to just do close up. But the thought of walking out cold in front of 300 people at an awards dinner scares the living jeepers out of me compared to walking up to 6 people in a mix and mingle type situation.
Yeah, and I get it. I remember that at the beginning, I did a lot of free shows, and I see a lot of people don't do free shows, blah, blah, blah. Wait, we're learning. And when we are learning, I mean, I'm taking courses to be a plane pilot, my own plane. And you pay to have some in-flight time, right?
Yeah.
So now it's just, you're not paying, but you're not getting paid. So my advice is, don't go for huge corporate events right now. It's, I mean, might as well take a gun. But go like, I don't know, some kids tournament, like baseball tournament or something like that. They have a gala. Ask if you can do a 5-6 minute spot. Don't do an hour show, but for free. And you say, listen, it's good for you. It's good for me. And do it. And I mean, this helped me a lot. TED Talk, it's the official TED guide to public speaking. And I remember at first when I did some corporate gigs, I was, all right, people, so now, and I mean, you're basically listening to a tennis match. And that's, are you good? Are you okay? Don't die on me now.
I'm cool.
All right. So yeah, I don't want to. They're not listening to a tennis match. So now I know that there's an X on stage, imaginary X, and I stay there. And I learned. You know what? I organized for 7 years a festival in Algeria, and one of the people I hired was David Souza from Portugal. And I remember David Souza on stage. I said, okay, I'm gonna take care of all the technical side and the lighting and so on. What do you need? Where will you move? Oh, I will only go from here to here. And I said, that's it? Isn't going to be boring? And au contraire, it was amazing because when he's from here, makes an envelope appear or a card, when he goes here, it's powerful. There's something that happens as opposed to so don't be a squirrel on cocaine on stage. Stay put, don't move too much, and do it. Go out there and give it for free, 5-6 minutes, then another 10 minutes, and so on. That's how I started. And even though a lot of people said, Michel, don't do shows for free, I'm learning. And if this is what it cost me to learn, I'm good. Any other school, I have to pay. This school, I don't have to pay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. But you need to make them understand that you are a student of the art, that you will do this, but you are learning, because they cannot expect you to be like a real professional if you're starting out. But I mean, there's no, even though you read that book or any other book, the real thing is to be on stage and to fail again and to fail. That's the only way you will learn. There's no other way.
That's so true. It really is. And it's about taking that risk and putting yourself outside of the comfort zone. You know, I always want, the reason I ended up performing on stage is I didn't want to look back in the twilight of my career and go, if only I had. You know, I'd rather have looked back and gone, well, I gave it my best shot. I tried my best. You know, that's all you can do. Try as hard as you can and just never give up.
Exactly. And, you know, I remember reading a book that said that 99% of people that are on their deathbed, they do not regret anything from their life. The only regrets they have is things that they didn't do. And listen, we're not saving lives. We're not taking huge chances. We are having a card selected, lost, and we try to find it again. What's the worst that can, I mean, I failed on stage, you failed on stage, we all failed on stage, and this made us. So go out there and roll the bones.
I totally agree with you. Going back to close-up very, very quickly, another question that I get asked a lot that I'd like to pick your brains on, because obviously you do a lot of awards dinners, you do a lot of performing on stage, you do a lot of MC work, but you still do close-up magic. And my question is, the biggest problem that I think most magicians have when performing close-up magic, especially in a corporate environment, is the approach. Because ultimately, and I've talked about this on the channel before, you have to go into somebody else's space. They're having a conversation amongst themselves. And within 3 seconds, you've got to get them to stop talking, interrupt them, win them over, get them to like you, and get them to want to listen to you more than continuing their conversation. And when you think about it like that, it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not. It's not. That's where all the networking that I did before helped. You need to be able to read the signs. That's the first thing before entering a group, because you have to choose your group. It's not, I'll do this one, then this one, then this. It's not that at all, because you have to respect those people. And one of the ways of respecting them is by reading the signs. So if I see that there's 2-3 people that are talking and all their shoulders and feet are pointing towards each other, I don't go in that group. That's a closed group. You're not welcome, or anyone is not welcome yet. Maybe you will be welcome in 10 minutes, but now maybe they're talking in someone else's back. Maybe they're talking business. Maybe it's none of your business, but they're talking. And I mean, I let them. When I see, it's very easy to see open signs because now you cannot see my feet, but one of my feet is pointing outwards. And those signs you need to read. And they're talking and they're going like this, looking around to see if they know some people or for a drink or whatever. They're just going like that. So this is an open group. I go in there. And you mentioned about the fact that they need to like you. So, and the only way they can like you is to like them. So how do you like them? You give them importance. So they need to feel important. If they do not feel important, they will not give you some time, because time is what people have most valuable. It is very valuable. So you need to give them importance. And how do you do that? You ask them their names. And even if there's 11 people around me, I will ask the name of everyone. It doesn't take 12 minutes. It will take only about 43 seconds. But this 43 seconds, a lot of my magician friends told me, wow, people are not paying you to ask their name and to talk, blah, blah, blah. No, this is vital for me. And also this sets up something that set up my finale. And how? Because if I ask your name, and everybody else's name, someone in there will say at one point, "What's your name?" And then I'm gonna say, "I'll tell you after." Then when I finished, they tell me usually, do you remember all of us? And then I look at them and that's not nice, and I start laughing, ha ha ha. But yes, I do remember everyone, and I will remember everyone in the evening, because that's something I do. I remember everybody's names. So at the end, let's say I just finished 12 minutes of close-up magic. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, Rylan. Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you. And I name everyone. Brilliant. So imagine how powerful that is. So do you think they're talking about one of the tricks I did? Do you think they're talking about the card that was in my wallet? Or they're talking about the fact that I'm remembering everyone? Yeah. And when I finish, let's say that I do some close-up during dinner at the table. Once I finish every table and I'm about to leave, I do it on purpose. I cross the room and I say, "Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, Manon. Thank you, François. Thank you, Robert." And I name everyone that I will cross path with. I name. So what do you think they're saying at the end? That guy was a good magician. No, they're not saying that. For me, if they're saying that, I failed. So if I want them to listen to me, I have to listen to them. So I will ask them their names. Then they will remember my name because I remember theirs. And if I want them to love me, I have to love them, and so on, so on. So it's a relationship you're creating. Whether you're on stage or during close-up, you are creating a relationship. And if you're the best magician, but that relationship does not exist, you're not good for them. You're just not good.
That's brilliant advice. It really is. Absolutely fine. Probably the best answer that I've ever had to that question ever. Incredible. I want to talk more about your career in a minute, but let's just, while all this is happening, while you're networking, while you're building up a business, while you're performing on stage and performing close-up, at the same time, you have almost like a separate part to your business where you're creating products and lecturing. And to be clear, you've created some of the most commercial tricks ever. You've worked with people like Penguin Magic. You've worked with people like Vanishing Ink. You work with one of my personal favorites, Richard Sanders. Like, the stuff that you've brought out is just always super workable in an industry where increasingly we're seeing more and more half-baked, half-assed brain farts coming out. You can just tell that when you bring a trick out, it's so well thought out. So I want to talk about that side of the business. But first of all, What made you start creating magic? Where did that come in? Was that part of the business plan? Was that like, okay, I'm going to set up the second income stream? Or was it, I've got all these ideas, I need to get them out? Was it desire to be famous? Was it, where did, and at what point did you start thinking, you know what, I'm going to create a lecture?
When I the first few months that I started magic, I created a lot of magic back then. Of course, I created things that existed already, but in my mind, because you don't know, I mean, I just started magic 6 months ago. You're creating stuff, and you think it was yours. So very very early on, I started my creative process. I've always been a creative person, but it was never because I mean, look back 25 years ago. A magic creator did not make money out of that at all. I mean, he sold the idea for $200 or whatever, or the company said, okay, we're gonna buy you the idea, but we're only going to give you 50 units, and that's your
Yeah.
salary. And that was it. So no magic creators made a ton of money unless you released it yourself. But I remember that I wanted to lecture early on because I had so much idea. A lot of ideas were not completely finished, but I said to myself, I mean, create, I think it's easy. To create good magic, that is not as easy. And I promised myself that everything that I would release, it would be something very commercial, that you can do, not designed to fool magician. I mean, none of my stuff is designed to fool magicians, but it's something that you can do in the real world. So I've got some stuff that I created that I feel it's not doable, and so it goes not in garbage can, but it stays there. I won't release it because, I mean, we've all ordered stuff and we're like so excited to have it, and then what the hell is that? I cannot use that, and this is frustrating. I mean, I saw you like almost tear down your house because there's some products you were, and honestly, it pisses me off. It's my money, and there are some people that are not as fortunate who they say, okay, I'm gonna spend the $80 because I really want to do that trick, and they just lost $80, and maybe they got in an argument with their girlfriend because now he doesn't have enough money to pay the rent or whatever. So, and that I promised myself that never. It doesn't mean you will use my stuff, but you can use my stuff. It's all designed to work in real life. So, and since I'm a businessman, I remember that when I had some creation at first, like 20 years ago, I contacted Guy Camiran, the Camiran Academy of Magic, which later on I bought. I bought all the stuff from Guy Camiran, the Camiran Academy, and I had that in my office right here. And I said, what am I going to do with all that? And then I called Joshua J. and Andy Gladwin. Do you want to be owner of that 66%? You own 66%. I own 33%. They said, yeah, all right. So I shipped everything over there. So that was perfect. So, but I remember when I talked to Guy, he said, yeah, that's a very good idea. I'll give you 50 units. I did the math. Yeah, but Michel, I mean, Guy is a very nice guy, but that's how it was done back then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, Michel, I'm taking all the risk, which is true. He's taking all the risk, but I mean, you as a creator have almost nothing. That's not normal. So I said to myself, nah. So I started packaging the stuff myself. Even socks, I released it on my own before. I'll tell you the story of socks afterwards. But even when I talked to Richard or Vanishing, and without going into the details of our agreement, for me, a creator needs to make good money out of that. Of course, since we don't have the risk, you have to. It has to make sense. It has to make sense. That's it. But if a company sells 10,000 one of my tricks and I only made $1,000, that's not normal. So, but I think now it's getting even.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is. 100,
Yeah.
100%. So what was the first trick that you bought out?
Dirty pool. Dirty pool.
Dirty Pool. Which company was that through?
Me.
So yeah, because it's still available directly on your website. You can get it directly from you, can't it?
Yes, exactly. Dirty pool.
Hello? Yeah? Yeah.
I don't have an answer.
Oh, hang on. Siri is going.
Something else I can help with?
Sorry. My Siri just decided to speak to me for no reason. I have no idea.
Wow. I don't know, but she has I mean, your Siri has a way more sexier voice than ours here in Canada.
I trained her myself.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna send mine to you. So yeah, Dirty Pool, which comes with a billiard ball and so on. I released that in 2001, I think.
It's a killer trick, by the way. I love that trick.
Thanks. I always use it. And now, you know what I use? I use a holder that I've been carrying for like 6-7 years, which is a tennis ball holder that I painted myself and put some rubber whatever inside, so it fits perfectly. It's the best holder out there, the best.
Brilliant.
So this is the first one I released by myself, and at the time, David Acker, one of my dear friends in Magic, I love that man, one of the nicest person you will ever meet. David wrote a small booklet about my stuff called 7 by Michel Hout. So that's the first time I came that people saw my name, but still, it's not enough to be popular at all. That was not the goal either, but still, nah. But 7 by did great. Dirty Pool did great, but again, so many few people know Dirty Pool.
Yeah, it's not as common. What? How did, I suppose the question is, what made you decide to start doing things with other companies? Because you successfully released Dirty Pool, and you talked about how a creator should be compensated. Obviously, when you release it yourself, you're going to be compensated 100%. You're taking the risk on yourself, but you're taking all of the rewards. What made you then say, you know what, I've got this great idea for this trick, but I'm going to do it with Sanders. I've got this great idea with the trick, but I'm going to do it with Josh and Andy. How did that all come about?
This is, I think it comes from the business side that I have, because some people say, yeah, but you're making 100% of the profit if you release it by yourself. Yes, but how many units will Michel Hout sell? And so if I'm making 100% of 500 units, yeah. If I'm making a certain percentage out of 8,000-9,000 units, and the risk, I didn't mind about the risk, because I chipped in and so on. So this is not a problem for me, except for, of course, socks. But for me to have a guy like Richard, first, Richard is a good friend, has been for many years, but to Richard Sanders, his name is huge like that. People know him, people love him. And Michel Hout, people don't know me, especially at the time in 2016 when we released Priceless. So do I want my ego to go bigger or my wallet to go bigger? That's actually the question I ask myself. If I release it by myself, my ego will go like that. If I release it with Richard Sanders, my wallet will go like that. And that's what I wanted, because I think it was, and it's not only about the money, not at all, but I mean, it's a business. It's a business. If you're releasing something that is good and you're making money, best of both worlds again. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I started working with Richard. And when same thing for socks. I pitched it to 3 companies. They all said no. They all said no. So I released it myself. And then Vanishing and myself talked again.
Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody would pass socks by. It's such a commercial concept.
Listen, wow. I remember the first time I thought about socks, I called Josh, because I've known Josh for 20 years probably. We met at 4F in 1998 and been friends ever since. We're not huge friends, we're not buddies, but I mean, it's a good friend of mine. So, and I remember when I contacted Josh and I said I've got this idea, da, 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 and said, "Ah, how cute! That's nice, but no, it's not for us." And he was very very polite and so on. So I said, "All right, I'm gonna call Murphy's." And I remember having a Skype with two people from Murphy's, and every time we Skype again, I remind them about that story. And so, and I love them. I just love them. I mean, they're clients of mine technically. And I show them the trick, and they say, "Cute, but you won't sell any." So yeah, that was funny. Then I call,
Big mistake.
yeah,
Huge mistake.
yeah, and they know. And then I called Richard, and
It's
for
like that scene, by the way, from Pretty Woman, when Julia Roberts goes back in dressed beautifully, going, "You're on commission, right? Big mistake, huge mistake." You just
yeah.
Pretty Woman Murphy's right there. That's just
Here you
amazing.
go. That's a good point. Yeah. So that was funny. And then I called Richard, and for Richard and I, we couldn't make it happen for many reasons. So I said, all right, I'm going to release myself. So I contacted companies in China for the socks. I had the cards made because every time I can make something here in Montreal, I will. But I mean, prices are so high. So so I made the 500 pairs of socks in China. I had the cards printed here, the vinyl wallets done here in Montreal. And then once I received everything, I started doing it at gigs. And I said, I can't believe Murphy's and Vanishing didn't buy that. So, or we didn't agree on something. So I had someone film me at an event, and I sent to Josh, and I only wrote really with a lot of question mark. And he said, wait a minute. Wow. Okay, we got to talk. And he called Andy right away. And the rest is history.
Oh, Vanishing Ink have been pimping that trick out ever since they first brought it out. Christmas socks, Halloween socks, normal socks. Man, I'm telling you, I'm expecting next year we're going to get Easter socks, Hanukkah socks, funeral wake socks. Like we're going to get everything. We're going to have socks.
As long as people buy them.
Yeah, no, this is I'm not taking the mickey. I mean, this is a great business decision from Vanishing Ink. I mean, they've got a product that everybody always wants something themed to a particular event. They've got something here that with very minimal changing around, you can theme it to anything that you want to.
I know sports and anything. I mean, honestly, you can have so many things with it. And actually, what's fun about socks is that I took a trick that I was doing on stage and I brought it close up. And of course, we all know the trick that what's his name? Kreskin did, Paul Daniels did, with socks in laundry bag or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And very good trick. And the first person I saw do that was Patrick Cuffs, another guy from Montreal. And I said, that's brilliant. And when I saw that it was out there, I said to myself, all right, I'll start doing it on stage. And I started doing that on stage probably 22 years ago. And at one point I said, the reaction on stage is so huge. I got to bring that close up. And and then socks, it took like 2 minutes to figure out. And once I got the real version and I started doing it close up, I saw that close up gets a way better reaction than on stage, because on stage I do it with real socks and so, but close up with the cards and because I always do the revelation, I step on one of the chairs, this band, and I'm like that. So when you're doing cocktail, the person who hires you never gets a chance to see you because they're running around like crazy. But if she's over there at 65 feet away, she will see every 7, 10, 12 minutes, she will see you go like this on top of a chair, standing on a chair with people going crazy, because if that is not an applause cue, I don't know what it is. So you're stepping on the chair, you're standing on the chair, you're going like this. It gets huge reaction. So I'm very, very, very happy with socks. I do it all the time. Actually, there's 3 tricks of mine that I always do in every close-up stage. It's Priceless, Dirty Pool, and socks.
Well, what an amazing selection of tricks. I mean, they're all three of those are brilliant. And you can get all of them from your website, right? I mean, you have a website,
Yeah.
michaelhoutmagic.com.
Michel Hout
Oh, sorry,
magic.com.
yeah, Michelle. Yes, I'm very sorry. And I'll put it at the bottom of the screen, obviously. But I mean, there's a lot of items there that are just exclusive to you and nobody else. In fact, there's some stuff on there that I've never seen before. You know, like I was looking at it before. The Comet table,
Oh yeah.
vice versa. Even though
Comet
I'm a
table.
huge fan of yours, there's stuff that I've never seen on there before, and I think it's well worth people checking out your
Yeah.
website because there's some great stuff.
Yeah, well, the Comet table, I'm so happy with the result, how it turned out, because I don't know if you can see it. This will go to any table, it just clips on there. And it's very well made. This you can adjust. So if the table is thick like that, this will go down. If it's very, very, very thin, like a glass table, this will go up. And so you will always get it leveled.
That's great.
Honestly, I'm so happy with that because I had the idea in 2002 or 2003, and the sample that someone did for me was like that thick, was awful, it was ugly, and I put it down. And then when the pandemic hit, the first gig I got during the pandemic, I put my cards down on their table and no, can you please take that off? And every table I did that to. Now we're talking July 2020. So we didn't know exactly what was happening. Everybody was wearing their mask. And I said, okay, I got to bring the table back. And that's honestly, and I'm very, very, very happy with the result. I use it all the time. And I use it all on stage also because now we've got another table, but without having all the legs and so on. So I'm very happy with that.
And you ship worldwide, right? So anything that anybody wants, you can ship worldwide. Brilliant. And your entire product range is there. Just for Dirty Pool, I'm going to review that on the show. I haven't actually reviewed that because it's an older item. You can't get it anywhere else.
Exactly.
But, that's one of the best. When I worked restaurants, it was my favorite restaurant trick.
Nice, thanks.
Such a killer routine. Okay, that's good. Let me ask you a question. What do you prefer doing? Lecturing and creating or performing? Because there's two different aspects to your business there that are very, very different. They're both profitable. They both make you money. I know it's not about money to you, but you are a business person. Which one do you prefer? If you had to pick one.
You have 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
Which one you like most?
Yeah. It's difficult.
You know what? When I'm lecturing, that's what I like the most. When I'm performing, that's what I like the most. When I'm creating, releasing something, that's what I like the most. So honestly, it's like asking me one of my 3 children, which one I like the most. I just can't. Nah.
No. It's nice that you have them both in balance. And to be honest, one feeds off the other. You create magic, which you can then work in the real world, which is what makes your magic so good. The fact that you do work it in the real world. It's not a pipe dream. And the fact that you're working all the time motivates you to create more magic. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Exactly. So, and I do not create to say this is going to be a bestseller. It just happened that the last 2 tricks, no, not true. This one, vice versa, is not a bestseller. I got it through Card Shark. That was released through Card Shark. Very good, but for people, it's just an invisible deck, but it's not. But so the last 2 tricks I released, beside this one, it was bestseller, but that was not the intention. Of course, you will never put a cross on that because, I mean, all right. And I mean, and Priceless is, I just so love Priceless because it's so organic. It's so, you can do it for one person. You can do it for, I do it like 700 people, 1,000 people. I still do it on stage. So for me, and virtually at first I was writing like you normally do, but now virtually, because I've got no one in my studio with me, because yes, someone could write it on my back, but since people can only see you like till here, I take the tag, I put it right here, I jam it here under the camera, and I write it but people don't know that I've got a pen in my hand. And at one point, I just release it, and it's there. I open my jacket, take it off, and it's so. I never wrote it down for them. So Priceless, and I gotta tell you a story about Priceless, how it came about, because the trick is pretty amazing, but I think the story, how I created, is even more amazing.
Yeah.
Because when I quit my job in 2003, the first client that I called, they said, okay, I want to meet with you, because it was not a done deal yet. I had to present what I had to sell and so on. She said, okay, come over. Beautiful woman. And she said, I said to myself, okay, I gonna buy a new jacket. I need a new jacket because I'm gonna meet some clients. And I went to her office, and she said, bonjour, Michel, new jacket, right? Why? Because you still have the price tag under the arm. And so the price tag was hanging right here. So I said to myself, oh, how can I get out of it? No, that's actually a magic trick. Oh yeah, what is the magic trick? You say any number, the price I paid, and it will end up there. She said, what? Seriously? I said, yes. Can we do it now? I said, no. No, we can't. No. And when I went back in the car, I took my notepad. It was not a notepad for magic ideas. It was a notepad about what my impression about the clients and so on. So it was business related. Yeah. So I drew the whole thing, a T-shirt with a price tag. I even wrote down the solution, blah, 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 and everything. And I left that in the car. That's in 2004. 2008, I changed car. I take all the shit from my car and put it in my new car. And in 2012, I buy a new car. I take all the shit from my car and I put it in a new car. And my girlfriend told me, no, Michel, you're not doing that right now. You're going to take everything and sort things out and blah, blah. So I said, all right. So I went to my stuff. That's where I found my daughter again. So I went through all the stuff. And at one point, I looked through that notepad and I went like this, not important anymore. And I threw the thing in the garbage. It hit the garbage can and it fell on the floor, open to that freaking page. That's how I recreated the trick 8 years after. And I remember when I saw the trick, I said, whoa, this is amazing. I called Richard. I said, listen, I got that trick. And I do golf tournaments. And at golf tournaments, what is fun about golf tournaments, you're on a hole and you've got 36 foursome who will go by you and you'll do magic to all of these foursome. So this is perfect to try out a trick because today you'll do it 36 times. So I poked a hole in my jacket, my T-shirt. I put a reel inside and I started doing it. And at first it was right in the middle because it's new. So you know the rule, right? You can try something out, but in the middle. And then I said, wow, it's incredible, the reaction. And at the end of, midway through the tournament, it was now my closer of that day. Wow. So that's how I started. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, do you have any advice? A lot of magicians want to be creative. They want to create their own magic. The big stumbling block they have is inspiration, coming up with that original idea. Do you have any? You've said before, it's very organic with you and you don't just sit there and try and come up with an idea. Is there any advice that you can give people in terms of keeping an eye out for ideas that might hit them? Because, you know, that like I say, that is the big stumbling block.
Yeah, it's funny because I've got so many answers for that, but one of the answers is a new answer for me. I just watched Get Back from the Beatles and Disney, and it's amazing. I'm a huge Beatles fan, and just the way they're creating, for me, that's how I also create. So you're not there saying, okay, I'm going to write that perfect song and so on. No, you just take things and you see what comes about. Some stuff you'll put it away for 5, 6, 7 years, but you just work. You just like no intention. You just like see how things react together. You remember when I said like 30 minutes ago, you should have 3 ideal clients, people you really want to work with, and so on. I don't know why, but many years ago I started saying, let's look at clothing. What can I do with clothing? I'm, you know what? I'm going to be built soon. I think like a clothes up magician. Things with clothes, because I've got so many things with clothes. Because of course you know socks and you know Priceless, but I've got so many things. I've got a belt. I've got a belt that appears. Actually, that disappears from here. I've got something. I've got a ring that appears on the belt loop. I've got so many things with I've got something with a hoodie. So many things with clothing. Just the fact that I decided to go, all right, clothes. What can I do with clothing? What can I do with a jacket? With whatever. So there's so many things, and there's stuff you don't even know that's not even on my website that I do with clothing. And so I chose one path. And the other thing I do is that I go to dollar stores and I buy stuff. I buy stuff. I've got a lot of shoe boxes filled with stuff. And I decide to take 3, 4, 5 items, leave them on my desk, and don't do anything with those. I don't do nothing. It's just there. Yeah. It's just there. And I leave it there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And then I change the objects. So sometimes I think of something and I connect it with that thing. But I was not there trying to create. And I don't even think that Paul McCartney and John Lennon said to themselves, let's create something incredible. They're just jamming around. The other thing I do is that every night when I go to sleep, every night, I put on music in my ears and I think about magic. Now, it only takes about 2 minutes for me to go to sleep. So I don't think long, but sometimes I wouldn't be neat to do boom. And then the morning after, I have the solution or whatever. But so instead of being at a table and working with my cards, trying to do stuff, I just think about it like an athlete. You know, an athlete, when he goes to sleep, if he has a tournament the day after, he will see himself like shooting the ball, go inside the ring. And so it's a bit like that. I visualize a lot. And because most of this, I cannot turn the camera over, but you should see all the post-it notes I have here. That's stuff that I could release. But see, I don't like doing the same thing always. So if I said to myself, I'm gonna spend 30 hours per week to create magic and to release it, I would be bored. If I would perform for 30 hours per week, I would be bored. If I do anything 30 hours per week, I would be bored. So I like to go from one place to another, and so on. So again, it's just that when you create, you have to accept that there are some moments where you have no idea at all. You have nothing cool coming, and when your energy is bad, or if you stumble across blank pages, well, stop. Go for a run. Oh yeah, sports is a big thing for me. When I go run, I do lots of sports. I run cross-country skiing, a lot of tennis, and I think whenever I'm running or doing cross-country skiing, I think about magic. I think. I think more than I actually do.
Yeah. And that's important. And that really, really is important.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you two more questions, because this has been an incredible interview. It really has. This has been one of my favorites. Like, this has been so awesome. I love speaking to you because you're passionate about business, you're passionate about magic, and that's exactly the same as me. Like, genuinely. So are there any other, so I suppose the question I've got to ask firstly is there anything coming out in 2022 that you're hoping to release? You don't have to tell me an exact thing, but can you tease the people that are watching this? Because you haven't released anything now for a little while. So are we hopefully going to be seeing something new from you this year?
Yeah, I hope Hope so. I released that actually last year, but it didn't make. I don't know. I don't know. So this was released last year. You should check it out. There's something I'm hoping to release. It's called Cardvertisement. So it's an influential thing about one card, and there's a devilish switch involved. Devilish switch. So I'm really. You know what? I'm gonna send you, Craig, the switch. It's very nice. So I hope this will be released. With whom I don't know yet, because I talked to Luca Volpe, and I talked to earlier. I talked to also Vanishing Ink. They wanted, so we just need to see how it will be released. But this, I hope it will be released. If I go to Blackpool, I'll definitely lecture on it though. So
Wow.
please sure to come and check it out. And I'll do the switch. The switch also gives you the opportunity to switch a card that has been visible through the whole set. You can have a card signed and folded, and with the Mercury fold. But the switch is so clean. I'm very happy with the switch. So this I'm hoping to release soon, and I hoping the book.
Yeah,
hoping that this will be released, because
that's got Vanishing Ink written all over it.
You know what? I love it, but I'm not. When I talked to them probably a year and a half ago, I said we have too many books projects, so maybe it won't be a Vanishing Ink thing. I'm guessing it won't, because they already said no to it. Not because they haven't read the content, by the way, but they're just overwhelmed. It's an incredible company, Vanishing Ink, and they treat their creators the right way, and this is important. So we should encourage people like that. So maybe it's going to be a Michel Hout release. Maybe it's going to be released on Amazon also, because honestly, Amazon, it's not cheap. It's very cheap to send, and you don't need to stock like 2,000 books in your warehouse. So this, I'm guessing, will be released in 2022. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to make a promise right now. It is going to be released in 2022.
That's the book that all professional magicians need. That's the one. There's a million other books out there, but if you want to actually make a success out of your business, and you know what, at some point, the pandemic is coming around to the end.
Yeah.
So you need to be ready for when everything is back to some semblance of normality. You need to be ready with everything.
And you know what? Most magicians, unfortunately, they will start thinking about going back when all of this will be behind us. Yep. You have to start thinking now.
Exactly. And you mentioned,
and you know what? Yeah, I was about to say that when it will be released, I'm gonna send 2 copies to you, one for you and one for one of your listeners.
Oh, thank you. I will do a full review show special. I'm actually planning on doing a review show special on all of your existing products anyway. So yes, I'm a huge fan. Anything I can do to tell more people about you, 100%. You mentioned Blackpool. Obviously, it's coming up very, very soon. We're anticipating it's still going to go ahead. Obviously, you never know what's happening, and we're taking things one day at a time, and the session convention's being rescheduled, but all signs are pointing to Blackpool going ahead, and you are one of the star lecturers. So hopefully you're going to be there as well. If you
I'm
are
not a star
there,
lecturer, but I'm a lecturer. Yeah,
you're a star lecturer in my eyes. So
I have my plane tickets. It's, you know what, it's 50-50. I really hope I can make it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead with it, but if I see that you hear so many stories, so I don't want to take any chances. I'm not scared of the whole virus. I got the COVID already, but it's so, man, it's incredible. So I'm really hoping to be there. I've got so many things I want to share. I wish they'd give me 8-hour lecture spot, because I'm when I talk about magic, I talk in my lecture, I talk about the classic force for about 25 minutes usually. So I love it so much. I love to share. An hour, this is going to be hard.
Well, you know what? Whatever you've got planned for the lecture, I'm. If people haven't checked it out, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to your Penguin Live. Your Penguin Live was brilliant,
Thanks.
really great. If you haven't seen Michel's Penguin Live lecture, please go and check it out because it was something special. It was really good. So
Thank you.
if
Thanks
the
a lot.
lecture at Blackpool goes ahead and it's half as good as what you put together on Penguin, then it's going to be incredible. That's all I can say about that.
Thanks, Greg.
It's going to be amazing. One last question before we wrap all this up. You're a very ambitious person. You can't get to where you are right now without being an ambitious person. You can tell just from how you've spoken during the course of this interview. You're very ambitious.
I am.
I also know that you have achieved so much success. There's a lot of magicians that are watching this that would say to themselves, at the end of my career, if I've even come close to what Michel has achieved right now, I would be happy. Like, released best-selling tricks, worldwide best-selling tricks, performed and lectured all over the world, successful business. And so the accolades go on and on and on. But I know that you're not even getting started. So here's the question. What's left on your magical bucket list that you haven't yet ticked off? Is there anything left? What are your goals specifically related to magic that you're hoping to achieve that you haven't yet achieved? Because I know somebody who's as entrepreneurial as you're going to be very goal driven. So I know that you got something up your sleeve.
Yeah. Well, I want to release a book also on my material, magic material. Not this one, not corporate magician, but on my material. This is in the process right now. I'm not writing it. A friend is writing it. This is one of the things. Blackpool is on my bucket list also. But you know what? I'm so happy with how I'm living my life that I just want to continue touring and exchanging, because I read this morning in Joshua Jay's How Magicians Think in his book. He says that a lot of magicians share and a lot of magicians don't share. And just the fact of sharing, that's the only way magic will go on, is by sharing. There's no other way. And so this for me is so rewarding. You've lectured all over the world also, so you know how it is to come to a club that don't know you, but they know you. You know no one else, no one in that club. But then at the end of the lecture, you're all having dinner together. That moment, that is precious. And for me to keep doing stuff like that is it's so amazing. You're talking about goals. You know that 3% of entrepreneurs, they don't have goals. They don't write them down. So every start of the year, I write my goals down. So next week, I'm going to a hotel room. I isolate myself and I write my goals. So the goals, then I will be able to tell you what they are. But for now, for this year, just the fact going to Blackpool and to start back lecturing all over the place, this is one of my key roles. Also, non-magic related, I've got some huge goals regarding my memory, because I give memory workshops for entrepreneurs online and in person. So I've got huge goals about that.
Which is another string to your bow that I haven't even begun to touch on. I mean, the fact that you do. You're a busy guy. You're doing everything that you're doing, man.
I am a busy man, but you know what? What I say when I give speaks to companies, I say, do you want to work a lot or do you want to be productive? I know that I don't want to work a lot because I've got kids, and my kids, the time. I told you today, we got to be finished by whatever time, because I'm going to go cross-country skiing with my kid. I want to be present with my kids. And if you cannot take care of all the aspects of your life, you cannot have only one aspect going good. It's impossible. Yeah. So you have to take care of your family. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of all those aspects in order to be successful. And there are some very incredible magicians out there. There were heroes, but there were also zeros because they didn't take care of their family or they left their child. And for me, you can be the best magician in the world. You're dressing because you left your kids. So for me, this is the most important thing. So if I'm a busy man, but I'm very productive. So every day I finish working at 3 o'clock, and I don't work during evening, except when I have shows or memory workshops. But for me, that is important because I don't want my son, because I've got 27-year-old, 25-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So now I'm only with the 8-year-old. I don't want him to say, "Yeah, that's my daddy, the one on the picture." Now, I want him to be holding my hand and saying, "That's my daddy." So, and that for me is, I love magic and I'm passionate about magic, but it doesn't even come close to how I am with how I love my children.
Man, if I didn't love you before, I love you even more now. I totally agree, 100%. You can't be a busy fool. You know, I see some people that work. I've put 12 hours a day in every single day. Really, what have you done? Nothing. If you actually look at it, you've done nothing. Compress that time into a shorter period of time, and then have more time with your family.
That's the new way to work.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, a human being can work 4 hours per day, very productive.
Yeah.
This morning, before coming in, I worked 4 hours, really, really productive. And I know that most workers would do what I did this morning in 2 days.
Yeah.
But I work, I'm very driven. Boom, boom, boom. I do this, and I put things on a list. This is what I will accomplish this morning. And I almost always accomplish what's on the list. So
amazing. It's amazing. I'm a massive fan. I really am.
I am too.
Oh, Michel, where can people connect with you? Social media accounts, first of all. So
Facebook.
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram also, Michel Hout, Magie in French.
Yeah.
Magie, Magie. My website, michelhoutmagic.com. On Facebook, since I'm more corporate, I don't have. Oh yeah, I've got a Facebook, my magic, Michel Hout Magic Products. I have that, but I'm not. I should be more active on there, but I'm not. But I will always answer in a very, very, very in 30 minutes. Messenger, of course, it's one of the keys. So I'm trying to be present, but I'm working a lot corporate here. So same thing for my magic, for my memory workshops. So there's many places you can find me.
That's great. And on the website, that's where you can get all of your products. You've got a full online shop. You can get anything that we've talked about. And look out for a review show special, because I want to get. We've reviewed socks, as you know, but I'm going to get all of your other products, and I'm going to review those as well, and let everyone know how awesome your material is, because more people need to know. And I really hope, from the bottom of my heart, you're going to be at Blackpool. You will find me sitting next to you the entire time in the bar having a drink. So, you know, it's been an incredible interview. Thank you so much, Michel, for coming on the.
Thank you, Craig.
Appreciate it.
And we will hopefully meet in Blackpool this year.
That would be great. Guys, here's what I want you to do. This has been an incredible interview. Show some love to Michel down in the comments down below. Let him know what you think. He will read them, so leave the comments down below. Don't forget to go visit his shop. Go buy Dirty Pool. If you haven't seen it, it's killer. Go buy it. And then, connect on social media. I will be back again tomorrow with another video, but this has been one of the best interviews yet. Michel, thank you so much.
Thank you. Special hi to Ryland.
Boom, he'll love that. He's more excited about seeing you at Blackpool than I am, so you got to be there for him.
I will. Craig, I really need to go help my girlfriend, because you know what? Her car is stuck in the snow.
Damn. Damn. All right.
That's why she called me.
You go sort out your girlfriend's car.